Good Monday afternoon, guys. My name is Jerry Miller, and welcome to the I Love CVille Show. Thank you kindly for joining us. We showcase the best of Charlottesville and Central Virginia on this network, and our guest embodies that statement. Mr. Stu Rifkin is going to join us in T-minus 65 seconds on this show. So much to cover on the program. We will talk some of the deals that he has on the hopper, some of the listings that are on the market. I want to pick his brain about some of the best locations to do business in Central Virginia and the Shenandoah Valley. This man knows restaurants. This man knows real estate. This man knows business brokerage. He knows golf. He is a Renaissance extraordinaire. Stu Rifkin, T-minus 40 seconds away. Ting is the crazy fast internet that powers the I Love CVille Network. We love our friends at Ting Fiber Internet. Scott Wagner of Scott Wagner Integrated Medicine. He's been our client. We've managed his brand for over a decade. Who's got your back? Dr. Wagner's got your back. IMBS Medical Billing Services. You'll see Ida, the founder of IMBS, on the program next week. And of course, David and his gorgeous wife at Skooma Boutique Dispensary in the downtown mall. Certificates of analyses for everything in the store. If you want to try CBD or Delta 8, you only go one place, and it's Skooma Boutique Dispensary, located next to Rapture on the downtown mall. Judah Wickower, studio camera first, and then let's get the very sharp and snappy-looking Stu Rifkin on the program.
Thank you.
¿Qué pasa? How are you, Stu?
Good, thank you so much. Thanks for plugging Skooma.
Skooma's great.
One of my favorite clients.
Why don't we start there?
I'll tell you, David, he went in the military right out of school, high school really, worked at the Nook as a teenager, came to me, wanted to open a used car dealership, didn't really know anything about cars or sales, but the kid's got all the energies, he hits all the right notes, and so he went ahead and did a great job at Monticello Motors up on 29, Airport Road, bought Airport Motors, and then sold it a few years later for a big profit, I'm sure, and then got into the CBD Delta 8 game. We looked for about 3 months for location, and it was super important location. I don't have to tell you, Jerry, you know enough about real estate to know that's everything. And so we decided that the mall was right, and that corner was beautiful, and it's got lots of windows, and it's not too big, and it's just poised to be there for a long time.
Let me ask you this. Everybody in this town knows Stu Rifkin. Everybody knows Stu Rifkin. How would you, let me ask you this question. How do you introduce yourself to people when they ask this question, what do you do for a living?
Well, these days, not enough. That's the first thing I say, or whatever I can do to get by. But, I think of myself as a restaurant person first. Currently, I have no holdings except for an interest in the Ivy Roadhouse. We can get to that later. That's
sure.
Out in Ivy Crozet at 240 and 250. But that's first. That's what I did when I got here in 1990 when I came from New York. So I think of that first. I've had a real estate license 18 years now. I've been working full-time, and my license hangs at Hasbrook Real Estate Corporation. So most people that know me as Stu know me as a realtor, I think, because when I started, I hung a lot of signs. But really, when I got here, and after about 8 or 10 years of being in the restaurant business, when you're out there, even if you're in the kitchen, you come out and you're meeting everybody. And a place like Northern Exposure, which was one of my 5 restaurants in that group, we saw a lot of people. We'd have a couple-hour wait in the early 2000s and late 90s. So that's how you meet everybody. And I'm a hospitality person first. So when I started in real estate, you're supposed to be prospecting. Well, that's not that hospitable. You're always supposed to go to parties and only talk about real estate. Well, that's not all that hospitable either. I treat everybody like a client. I don't treat anybody like a customer. You treat them all with the same respect and the level of business interest that you'd want to have. I just can't sell stuff that I don't want to buy myself. So it makes it real easy to sell things when you feel good about them and you feel good about the prices, et cetera.
You got Wheeling, West Virginia in the feed. Joanne Moore, welcome to the broadcast. Some folks at the CVille Weekly watching the show. I see 4 states on our heat map right now watching Stu Rifkin. I first met you when you were ownership at the Nook. Let's go back to the 1990 when you arrived in Charlottesville. What was CVille like in 1990, and how was it so much way different than it is right now?
I can tell you the best example over 30 years is the downtown mall. When I got here, Fat City was the place to hang out, which is now Bizou. There weren't a lot of places on the downtown mall. The Coffee Exchange, that was a happening place. The Nook was there. And so the Nook came on the market 90 or 91, and I went to my friends, and I, had the money. I was working for them. And I said, we should buy this. It's on the downtown mall. It's a beautiful building. How does this not make sense? And I think it was $250,000 at the time, which is not much more than we paid for just the business in 2006. So their attitude was, the mall's dangerous, the mall's not going to happen, it's been here 15 years, it's a waste of time. And they were wrong. That's all there is to it. Fortunately, me and my partners were able to buy the Nook building in 2016. And, sometimes things happen a little later than they're supposed to happen, but really happy with that business. I don't own it anymore. Chuck and Jenna Wood operate that, and they do a wonderful job. All you have to do is look at the TripAdvisor or Yelp reviews to see they're working really hard, and they're serving excellent food. I actually ate there last week for first time in a year or two.
You're getting props from people. Rick Friedman watching the program.
Not a good golfer, but a decent guy.
He says, you are so smooth, Stu Rifkin, so smooth.
Yeah.
Downtown Mall, early 90s. So I arrive in Charlottesville in 2000 as a very mischievous first year. Frankly, not much has changed from a mischievous standpoint. And I get here as a first year immediately, and I tell this story all the time. And I'm, not hesitant to tell the story. My buddies and I wanted to get in a little trouble, and we realized that we needed to get some ID credentials that would allow us to get into trouble. So immediately we buy a laminator online and we make some new identifications. The first place we go is we take the trolley from grounds, Dabney 101 Old Dorms, and we go from Old Dorms all the way to the downtown mall, and we go to Miller's. And at Miller's, we caught a live set with the Agents of Good Roots. It was the front man and the guitarist, and that's it. We walk into Miller's. This is 3 or 4 weeks into our first year at UVA, wow. And immediately we were screamed at, students are not welcome here at Miller's. Now you look at the downtown mall on a Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night, there are UVA students everywhere. They're welcome, they're embraced, they're part of the commerce or the marketplace that keeps the restaurants and businesses in operation here. When did it start becoming much more approachable for students to start heading downtown?
It's funny because, Jerry, let's take the Mincers on the corner, the center of the corner, to the C&O, the far east end of the mall. It might be a mile. It might be 1.1. It's
maybe.
Right. It's a nothing walk from the corner. But, there's been a lot of blight in between and empty parking lots, and it hasn't always been comfortable for people to walk. But to me, to answer your question, Blue Light Grill. When Peter Castiglione and, the other guys, John Spagnola, the guys that set that up, Mr. Capshaw, of course, who owned it, that was the first bar that really felt like it was meant for you UVA kids with your high IQs and high savings balances.
Our daddy's and mommy's credit cards.
Right, for lack of a better term. And so I think Blue Light was the first kind of place you would, Miller's still a little rough. Rapture was open, but it was still, a little rough. I'm not sure the students all found that, but they found Blue Light. And so that, to me, was the first kind of bright lights, big city operation. It was a little funky in the design. I think Formworks did the original design. And so to me, that's kind of the defining bar restaurant that dragged people downtown. And I can't tell you what year it was. Well, actually, my kids were born, because I remember holding Sophie as a baby. So this has got to be 01 or 02, at the latest, when Blue Light finally rolled out. So around the time you got here.
Robert and Cecilia, the principals of Formwork, they helped redesign this building, which is in phase 1. Blue Light, I think, is a great answer. I remember going there quite a bit as a UVA student. The mall is so important to both of us, the heartbeat of the city. 2 questions for you, and Charlie Mayer will get to your comment. Jill Matlin will get to your comment. This man's very popular. He's got a lot of friends watching the program. Mike Karen, hello. Kat Marie, hello. If you want to give this man some props, just put it in the feed. I will relay it live on air.
Thank you.
The importance of the mall to Charlottesville first, and second, how do you think the mall is recovering post-pandemic?
Well, it's the center of town, right? We live in a small town. It's 10 square miles. They spent a lot of money in the 70s to make this pedestrian mall, and it works. It's worked for years and years and years, and it's had its ups and downs, I'm sure. But the fact, I was here in 08, right, trying to run a business when the banks failed. And the mall and the city decided they were going to rebrick the mall. And, here I am trying to struggle to pay the bills at the Nook. And then in '09, the other restaurants that I took responsibility for, it was a tough time. But it didn't take much for people to come right back downtown. The tourists will always come downtown first. Yeah, they'll go to Stonefield and Barracks Road second, and they'll go to Monticello eventually, and they'll go to their wineries, but they're going to come downtown because that is, as you say, the heartbeat of the city. And so I realize politically there's people that hate the city of Charlottesville, and we were not going to get into any of that because of my nonprofit work, but the reality is those people weren't spending a lot of money anyway. And yeah, I ran into somebody at a grocery store the other day when I was wearing my Nook sweatshirt telling me how we used to eat at the Nook in the 50s and 60s, but doesn't go there anymore because they don't like the city politics. And I thought, okay, you probably don't like the price of a club sandwich now either, so we'll just take it as it is. As far as post-pandemic, people want to be out of their house. They want to get out, and this is a great market to get out. We have all kinds of outdoor activities, a beautiful place to be. It's very tepid climate in November and March, which isn't the case all over the country. And so I liken it to when the banks failed, or let's go back to 9/11. It's kind of scary, 9/11. Who's going to go? No more traveling, no more conventions, no more banquets, right? But people cared about America, and they still came to Monticello, and they still came to Williamsburg. And to get there from the west of us, they got to come through Charlottesville. So I really thought that the mall did well after 9/11, and it concerned me. And it did well after the banks failed, because this is a place people want to be. Would be nice maybe if we could get a few more Fridays after 5 out of Kirby, Hutto, because, if you could stretch that series a little bit, that really helps everybody downtown. But boy, the merchants help, the Downtown Business Association helps, and I don't think anything helps the downtown mall or the city of Charlottesville more than this show. So
thank you.
Just want to throw that out there.
Dude, Stu Rifkin is so damn good in front of a camera with a microphone.
Sorry.
This guy needs his own show right here. Bill Sanders says he's listening from Maui. He says Stu is the best. 6 states watching Stu Rifkin on the program right now. Charlie Mayer says he wants to talk about the florist business, which is your special ladies business right now. Jill Metlin doing great, Stu, on the program. Jen looking good, gentlemen. Love you, Stu.
Thank you, Jen.
From Jen Finazzo right there.
Great. I wish I had some flowers here for the studio.
We could do that if you want to, Jen. We can get flowers in the studio. All right, this question. I have so much I want to cover with you because you know this community inside and out. Give us the perspective or the flip book when you were working at the Nook and what it was like to run such an iconic brand and business. I would say one of the most iconic brands in the city of Charlottesville is the Nook, okay? And you were synonymous at one time with the Nook. And then give us the flip book of what it was like to take over some of the other restaurants. Because if memory serves correctly, you were, in a lot of ways, getting the finances on track for some of the red light restaurants.
Right.
If memory serves correctly.
Yep.
Shows yours on those topics.
So, it's funny. When Mark and Jen and I bought the Nook from Terry Shotwell, may she rest in peace, a lovely lady, and very motherly towards me, I was trying to sell the Nook. And real estate was great. 2005 was just like 2021 for realtors. 2006 and 7, not so much, so we hope we don't go there. But, for commercial real estate, those were boom years here, just like they're back again. And we bought the Nook really to save the Nook. We had Mark Mascot is a local realtor, we had a first set of partners, and they didn't want a children's menu. And they wanted us to serve, sous vide mahi-mahi. And I was like, no. We need bacon and eggs and pancakes and breakfast all day. And so we went into this from a hospitality standpoint. Nobody went into this to get paid. Nobody went into this to make any money. We went into it to save the Nook, and that took a lot of work. Took hundreds of thousands of dollars in the kitchen, which we had to redo in 2018. So I think saving the Nook was really just an answer to the city. Me working there, probably the worst thing that could have happened to the Nook.
No way.
Operationally, yes, but you don't want me at the door. You don't want me bad-mouthing you for having your cup of coffee that came from Mud House. You don't want me telling you I'll be right with you when I really won't be right with you, but I'm just telling you that because I want to keep you in line. So I do enjoy the hospitality business, but the Nook was, it's a stressful place on the weekends. And so my energy is better behind the scenes, making sure that the mac and cheese recipe is just bang on and spot on. And so I'm super happy that the food is still good. The economics of all businesses have changed, so things get more expensive these days. But, the Nook was a labor of love, and I think you see that with a lot of businesses on that downtown mall. You know, you see that with a lot of businesses in a town like this, where they're really there to give somebody something to do, and the profit, bottom line, isn't everything. And so the other question, the red light restaurants, you know, that was a situation where they were really popular and had good top line sales. They just didn't have very good bottom lines. And so that's really what I focused on, which doesn't make you very popular, right? You know, changing pay and systems and that kind of stuff isn't great. It's not a popular job, but they're profitable restaurants and they're well run. And now they're still well run by the people that own them. You know, some have changed hands, but most restaurants, 10, 15 years, it's a long time for an independent restaurant.
How about the importance of the, so a lot of comments come in. Dave Norris, we'll get to your comments here. Lee Hughes watching the program. Lee loves Stu. Tell him I said hello. He says, go Celtics, and he loves the I Love CVille show. Thank you for saying that, Lee Hughes.
Yeah, great realtor.
Dave Norris, we'll get to this in a matter of moments. The importance of the restaurants to the mall. The restaurants, and I'm going to get out of your way. You're the expert here. The restaurants drive the clientele downtown, and then there's the trickle over impact of spending in other businesses after they leave the restaurant or prior to arriving at the restaurants. Your thoughts?
So to me, it's an entertainment district. So,
I agree.
Yeah, I think Ybor City in Tampa, you know, it's an entertainment district, and so generally, you don't go to a concert, you don't go out for dinner, you don't buy a sweater. So I'll take the Marshalls, some very close friends of mine, great clients, the only young men shop for a long time. Well, Jerry, you're not even wearing a suit anymore. If you're on Channel 29, you might be. And so the people's attitudes have changed, their shopping has changed, but really the mall is a place to go and see and be seen and go to the city market and go for dinner. And so it's hard for retail down there. It just is. It won't be hard for specialty retail. It won't be, you know, I still get all my framing done at the Great Frame Up. And so that's not an easy place to get to. I've got to carry my stuff from a place to park, but I love their service and I love their skill. I've gone to them since they were on 14th Street. And so those businesses will survive, but it's tough for new folks. You know, it is, I did a lease for the Impeccable Pig, which is now going to be a
pizza
Vita,
place. We put that on the network here.
It's now going to be Vita Nova, right? They're moving
across the mall. Great move for them.
I think so. Better location, great landlord, easier space to deal with, just better all the way around. And their building's getting renovated, so they didn't have a lot of choice. So I think the restaurants really
Curly just has to finish the job. Lindsay and Eric just have to finish the job. And we love you, Lindsay. That's who we utilize as well. They just got to finish the job.
So And so the restaurants do drive it, you know, there's no doubt about it, and that's okay. And there's room for specialty retailers because there's lots of business during the day. And I'm hoping that the office market comes all the way back. I did sign a new lease recently on 4th Street for some tenants, about 4,000 square feet. And
one of Kajean's spots?
No, the Marshalls, one of their buildings. And so, you know, once these new buildings with their high rents start filling, the Omni's virtually full, which is great. I handle their leasing. Then there's more people around. There's more people around for lunch. There's more people around for shopping. There's more people around for whatever the stuff they need to get when they're downtown. CVS loves their situation. They've never wanted to move. They've had many offers to sell the building, especially before the hotel got sold. And they love where they are. So if it works for CVS...
How about this question? And I promised you no politics.
Sure.
Okay, I promised you no politics. I'm a man of my word. Julie Peltz Ford says, hi, Stu. She's watching the program right now. Do we think we get enough support from the city for downtown? I've been trying to use this megaphone for the open container.
Sure.
You know, like it makes so much sense to have regulated. I'm not talking New Orleans here or Bourbon Street. I'm just talking about, or Vegas. I'm just talking about an open container situation that's going to drive incremental tax revenue to the city and the jurisdiction, and it's going to help the businesses in downtown Charlottesville in slower times here. Being able to walk from the Omni to the Pavilion with a beer in your hand seems like a no-brainer to me. Do you think the city has given enough support to downtown?
Well, there's a lot of layers there, Jerry, right? The first one's the alcohol. You know, I'm all pro for selling alcohol and controlling alcohol, but I'm not sure I feel about people walking down the mall drinking alcohol. We already don't have enough police. When I lived between Bang and Pro-Tax for ththose years, '04, '05, and part of '06, we had a whole presence down there. Friday night, Saturday night, they set up a little truck or a van. I don't know where the police are these days. I'm not saying anything negative about them, or I don't know what their schedule is for touring the mall, but I'm not sure we have enough presence. I don't believe police solve all the problems, but just their presence is generally a deterrent. There's a lot of indigent people downtown at times. You know, who's to say they should be allowed to sit in front of the Jefferson Theater with a big cup of beer? I know that's not what the intent is, but that's what happens. It's the same with free speech, right? We allow free speech. That means I get to stand on a corner and ask you for money. I don't believe in it. I don't like to support that, but I can't tell them they can't. So do we think the city gives enough support to downtown? What else do they got to support? You know, that's where the money needs to go, right? It needs to go to the merchants. It needs to go to all parts of the city. I can't get into the budget for whether enough goes to schools versus tourism. I do know when it comes to things like the Tom Tom Festival, they've been supportive. But,
as they should be.
Yeah. Well, I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the center really is the heart. And it's one thing if City Hall was 10 miles away, but City Hall's right there, and they see what's happening. But, you know, they've been good. They were good with the pavilion deal. The pavilion's been great for them all.
Why don't we ask that? The impact of the pavilion. A lot of people don't realize this. Dave, I'm going to get to your comment. Max, is it Max Mothersill? Is Haagen-Dazs from Antigua says hello.
Mm-hmm. Chef Max, thank you.
You have 9 states watching Stu Rifkin right now on the program here.
Jesus.
2 countries watching Stu Rifkin on the program. Thomas Taylor says this guy is the man, Stu Rifkin. Mr. Charlottesville is Stu Rifkin. Charlottesville's finest from TT right there. Put in perspective the impact of Fridays After 5. A lot of people don't realize that Fridays After 5 started on the other side of the mall.
The Omni when I got here.
With like a Bush League stage. Mm-hmm. Tell us that.
I'll tell you, I love that. Because when I moved here, I only knew the people that I lived here to work with. And so the mall was the place I saw those people that I worked with at the Biltmore. I worked with at Festive Fair.
I didn't know you worked at the Biltmore.
Oh, yeah. So, so they... and it was great. And you got your drink. There was no real controls. I'm pretty sure you could stand wherever they had cordoned it off. And it was right in front of the Omni, and you backed up sort of past where the new building's going and the old ice park, right? You came that way. But it was still a good scene. I mean, it was great. And then when my kids were little, '01, '02, well, I guess '04, '05, when you and I first met, when they were building the pavilion, they had it over at... where ACAC is now, the Gleason's building. And that was kind of fun, too. That was like a block party. It sort of felt good. It was across the tracks. I could hear it great from my apartment. I didn't even have to go over there. And so that was the first thing where they could have food trucks, right, and a little more activity. You could have some vendors, et cetera. But the pavilion is a great use of space, whether it's the transit center, the public bathrooms, or, I mean, I went to the last drug court graduation happened at the pavilion because of COVID. It was outdoors. It was terrific. Dave Simpson, the former owner of the CNO, talk about people that love
Rest in power.
You know, great place to have, you know, his ceremony. So the pavilion gets a lot of use, gets a lot of free use. The city gets to use it for all kinds of things. And then, of course, Fridays After 5 is a real driver of business. I think I would add, just for the handful of restaurants I was operating, about $25,000 a Friday for Fridays After 5. So this is 5 or 6 restaurants, one night. That was the impact of a Friday in April with no Fridays After 5 and a Friday in mid-April with Fridays After 5. And that's a lot to one little vendor. And
Why is there no Fridays? I never understood this, and help me understand. Why is there no Friday? And I understand inclement weather and it gets colder, but why is Fridays not, After 5 not 47 weeks a year?
A couple of reasons. One, they got to make money at that venue. 2, sometimes, so you can't tell Tom Petty you can't come on Friday because you got Fridays After 5. So you need to leave a certain amount of Fridays open. But to me, you know, my question is, yeah, it's going to rain, but it's going to rain in July too.
Right.
So if I bump my April and I bump my September, it really, again, it's a question for Kirby. I don't want to get in any trouble with the boss. But the reality is, there's no reason this can't run till certainly the end of October, because that's when this town is full. I mean, we didn't have a home football game this weekend. Friday night on the mall was okay, but it wasn't last Friday night with Notre Dame in town. So maybe last Friday night with Notre Dame in town, Fridays After 5 is great for the people that don't go to the football game and the tourists that are here for trying to find something to do because the game was on Saturday. But then the following week, when they're playing at Pittsburgh, this past Friday would have been booming. And the weather was nice on Friday.
11 states watching Stu Rifkin, 3 countries, Sherry Finazzo, Bill Cole, Cecily Reynolds, Sam Getterson, Caroline Bateau, Sarah Whalen, Mike Caron, all welcome to the program. Barbara Lundgren says it was next to the Mole Hole. That was a great store, Fridays After 5 at one time.
Yep.
Former Mayor Dave Norris, Stu is a smart businessman, but he doesn't get enough credit for the fact that he also has a huge heart for people who are struggling and homeless. The Haven, for example, would not have gotten off the ground without Stu Rifkin, from Dave Norris.
Thank you, Dave.
Bashir gives Dave's props on that comment. Talk about that comment there, Stu.
Well, I will say when I started in real estate, I would hang signs on buildings because I wanted my name out there. And my broker would say, "What are you doing?" And I'd say, "I just want the publicity. I don't care about the money, I just want the publicity," because I assumed the other would come. But the reality is the name helps. And so that's how I got my name out there initially. The Haven is one of those things that, you know, a client wanted to see a property. I showed him a property. It wasn't exactly what he had in mind. It was right near my apartment. I had the keys to the First Christian Church. I said, "You want to see a church?" He said, "Sure, let's go see a church." So it really started that way. But if it wasn't for Dave and I and a lot of people around us, it might not be here. Because there was Dave and I meeting alone. When we had some issues getting it going, we got an employee in place. I can tell you the Haven's doing very well now. The Haven does a great job of putting people in housing. The Haven is collaborating with TJAC and all the other players, Region 10 and Potcham. And so that's been a great project, but I don't, as you know, I don't toot my own horn. If I did, I would hire VAMV Brands to do that for me, right? Because they'll do a much better job than I will. But, you know, on our own board, I'm the treasurer there. I was outgoing treasurer. I think On Our Own is a certain and another important agency here. I've been the board chairman of Offender Aid and Restoration. We handle all the pretrial screening, post-incarceration services. Again, it's one of the reasons we stay out of politics, since the nonprofit stuff's important to me and none of it's political, except for we do get funding from just about everybody, OAR, and of course the Haven and On Our Own as well. So thank you, Dave, for those kind words. But there's been a lot of people along the way keeping that going, not the least of which was Tom Shadyac, who paid for this and funded it.
Welcome our friends from NBC 29 watching Stu Rifkin here on the broadcast. How about the evolution of West Main and how it helped bridge the UVA corner with downtown? And I would love to highlight my homie, Peter Castiglione at Maya. Mm-hmm. Peter and Christian Kelly have the vision, and the Finazzo family also has this vision. They have the vision of purchasing the real estate where they're running their restaurant in. And a lot of restaurateurs either don't have the resources or the risk-taking or the vision to do that. Maya, when there was really not a lot in West Main, when it was, you know, frankly, when I was a student at UVA, you didn't walk at West Main.
Right. You drive to the Bluebird or
Yeah.
Southern Culture or whatever. They had gone by then. But
yeah, you weren't going there super late at night.
Right.
Now West Main is like a freaking dining destination district. The evolution of West Main from your perspective.
Well, you know, I worked on that deal with Peter and Christian. Loved the deal because we thought we could get the building. David Elkins was selling it. He's a terrific guy, and you know, he passed it on. They've done very well. But you know, Maya gets a lot of credit. You know, Peter fights in front of City Hall for everything from meals taxes to street lights to the streetscape. Filling in all those parking lots has helped. I tried to sell the old Peyton Pontiac to a Dave & Buster's concept years ago. I really thought something with that kind of energy in the middle of Main Street would have been a great idea. Now, 15 years later, it's a better idea than it was 15 years ago. Hawes Spencer had the great idea when they wanted to move U-Haul to put it where the train station is. But the city sold the train station for $3 to guys that put it on the market for $3 billion the next day. So that's a different.
You're talking Kajin.
The group of those people,
Yeah,
Main
yeah.
Street partners. We need to call people by name, but either way, they got a great deal. And Hawes was right. If you had put U-Haul on that mass of where the Amtrak station is, you still could have had the Amtrak station as a Bostonian, the Boston Gardens.
So you're saying the John Paul Jones Arena is what you're referencing?
Yeah, that was Hawes Spencer's great idea.
That would have been brilliant.
Right, it would have, you had all that parking. It would have been at street level, right where the Drury Bridge is.
Was that ever close?
No, I don't think it was
Okay.
ever. It's just Hawes's really great idea to
Okay.
get people into the city.
Yeah.
But now you've got the standard, you got the apartment buildings, you have their food service that won't succeed, right? It's awfully hard to run a place where it's hard to park. Originally we were looking for locations for Five Guys, and we talked about a spot on Main Street, and I don't want to, I take my kids to Five Guys in a stroller. I got to be able to park. And so for certain businesses, you really need more convenient parking that's available on Main Street. But for Maya and Oakart Social and the places I'm going for dinner, and Public Fish and Oyster, they've got places to park. Parking, people don't seem to complain about parking on Main Street, but they complain about parking downtown all the time, and parking downtown couldn't be easier.
Oh, yeah, completely agree. Mark Lickman watching the program. Great to see Stu again. It's been since, is it Shabbos? 15 years ago?
Okay. Shabbos, maybe? That's the Friday?
Yeah.
Okay.
Another excellent show, amigo. Thank you, Mark Glickman, for watching the program. 12 states watching Stu Rifkin. Willa Shee, welcome to the show. All right, we're going to get to some deals he has in the hopper, some listings that he has in the hopper here in a matter of moments. Before we do, let's get to some comments that are coming in. Jerry, ask Stu about some of the top grossing restaurants in the area. You've often said that's the Chick-fil-A 1, 2, and 3, followed by the Starbucks. Does this man agree with that take? So I've said on the program, the restaurants in the city of Charlottesville, they're the top grossing, and it's not even close. Chick-fil-A,
Right.
Chick-fil-A, and Chick-fil-A, and they're not even open on Sundays. I said the next three are probably some kind of ranking of Starbucks, depending on their location of that Starbucks.
Yeah, and Roots probably.
Roots on the corner, off the chain right there.
Yeah.
Top grossing that you've seen.
Well, boy, that's a hard one because I don't get to see everybody's numbers, right? And I do know.
But you're a smart man.
Yeah, I mean, that's why, you're dead on with Chick-fil-A, and you're right with Roots. I don't drink coffee, but I know the Starbucks line never stops. And for them to take that spot in front of Best Buy, the line's there all the time. So those places do the most business, bar none. But there's a lot of good local restaurateurs. We talked about this a little earlier off the record. Brazos at Ix, a location that you wouldn't think would do those kind of revenue numbers, they do it because in a town this size, people go where the food's good. I can't tell you how many times the last 20 years someone said, I don't like that location. I'd say, well, put Bodo's there. Go throw a Lampo pizza there. Tell me you don't like the location then. So I can't, a great location will prop up a mediocre business. A great business can go anywhere. I drive to the Blue Ridge Pig Still in Nellysford, Virginia.
It's fantastic barbecue.
Worth the ride.
Joe Ellen Finazzo, go Stu, go. More comments coming in for Stu Rifkin here. So
Crazy.
I'll throw this to you. This is a tough question. The Starbucks, common sense would say being in the location right next to a Starbucks or a Bodo's would be great for that business because of the traffic. However, I've seen some of the locations next to, say, the Starbucks, the one on Pantops, or the one down on 5th Street Extended, where the traffic and the line for that drive-through wraps around the location so much, and in some ways it almost cannibalizes the spots right next door to it because of the congestion.
Well, there's the congestion. There's the fact that, I don't know if it's true around the world, but, us Americans don't like to get out of our cars. And so I don't eat fast food, but their business is all driven by beverages. Who are the drinkers? In Massachusetts and Maine, Dunkin' Donuts they'll sell an occasional donut. It's a beverage company. And so I'm not sure being next to Starbucks is good for anybody because I'm not even getting out of my car to get my latte with my dry cleaning. So the dry cleaning doesn't get help or whatever is next to them. The problem with 5th Street is the new center. You're coming off the highway. You're not stopping. You're going downtown. You have a destination, and it's not next to the old Holiday Inn. So I think that's the issue with that specific spot. But if you're a coffee person, you're getting it once or twice a day, location's everything. And right off 64, when I'm coming in from Zion's Crossroads, is right when I need that second shot of espresso. So that's the way I see the Starbucks effect. Wegmans, I put a tenant in Wegmans shopping center. That's not a great place for food.
Can I ask who?
El Carbone.
Okay.
And they're killing it there.
They are
because
killing
they have I got the smallest commission in the history of that center because they got 1,300 square feet. But they'll love it there. They'll do well there. But think about it. They're selling everything you can buy across the street. Potatoes, chicken, churros, tortas, all the stuff they sell. But they do it so well, they will do great there. I worked on the kitchen for Chim. I didn't do their lease, but I assume they'll do great there because, again, that's not a direct competitor with Wegmans, but it's hard to make money in other people's. You're in their parking lot. That's really it. People are going there to go to Wegmans. Now, maybe they're having drinks at Fuzzy's Tacos. Maybe they need a donut. They got to get a kayak. I get all that. But it's tough sometimes to put yourself around other competitors. Now, when I was leasing where Five Guys was on the mall, if Denny's wanted it and I owned the Nook, that wouldn't have killed the Nook. That'd have been okay. You know, that kind of competition I'm all right with. It's the reason the car dealers are all next to each other.
Should a chain be disallowed from coming into the downtown mall?
No, I mean, you can't disallow a chain. Allowed, you know.
Is it bad for downtown mall, its look, its brand? We've had a few. Urban Outfitters struck out. Mm-hmm. Five Guys struck out.
Yep.
That's safe, right?
Yep.
Okay. Is it bad for the look or the brand?
Of the mall or the... So I think obviously there's no way to keep them out. It would be bad if our mall looked like every other mall. Right? So if the downtown mall turned into JCPenney's took over for Urban Outfitters and, you know, let's take Kilwin's. Kilwin's a nice business. It's locally owned.
Yeah. Kip and Jessica are local.
Right? They bought a franchise. They put it in a place that was high volume. People didn't probably grasp it right away. They'd rather go to Chaps or they'd rather go to Splendor's when PK was there. But the reality is, when you want a piece of candy, you don't care who's selling you the piece of candy. I was horrified when I sold the hardware store building because I missed the hardware store, the restaurant itself, and the candy store. And so I think it only hurts the brands if the mall's taken over by those chains. And if it gets to that point, something else has happened in the economy because you're not going to see Baby Gap go downtown to Charlottesville because they want to be at Stonefield or Barracks Road or, in an indoor mall. So I think it'll remain an entertainment and a high-energy place. We still have the municipal buildings downtown, so you have a certain amount of people that work there. But I don't necessarily think it's a bad idea. I would just rather see Java Java than Starbucks, but I don't drink the coffee, so it won't matter either way.
Dude, Stu Rifkin is a natural on a talk show.
Thank you.
Howard Cooper giving you some props from Chicago,
Dr.
Illinois,
Cooper.
and the Windy City. He sees Stu Rifkin as the man. I absolutely love this guy. This is from the Windy City here. 13 states and 3 countries watching Stu Rifkin on our heat map right here. Barracks Road versus Stonefield. Anywhere you want to go. Monday morning quarterback, Barracks Road versus Stonefield.
So Barracks Road's number 1 on the tax map for a reason. It's the center of this town. You can
Not
get
even
to
close from a retail...
Well, I just mean literally it's number 1 on the tax map, right?
Okay.
So that's literally, when you look at the tax map, that is the center of town. And there's lots of different ways to get there, and it's been there since the 70s, right? And things have been happening at Barracks Road. Stonefield has its appeal. Stonefield has much more residential around it now and more coming. We've got more buildings being built. You got more residential there, so I think that's a convenient place. I had a friend's husband moved to town. He was going to be an adjunct professor at UVA. He was looking at apartments. I recommended Stonefield for him because I knew he was a drinker and I knew he was going to be without his wife, and it made sense to be in a place where you can walk and get something to eat or walk and get something to wear. So I think the appeal of Stonefield is there. I think... but their businesses come and go too, because who can pay those kind of rents? Whether it's the Italian restaurant.
Which rents are higher?
I would say right now, well, off the record, really depends on who your realtor is representing you, because the rents are all over the place.
Okay.
I mean, that's really it.
Okay.
I can tell you from my most recent experience, Barracks Road is at the table. I don't know about Stonefield. I did do the pad site for C&F Mortgage. They have their new building there. They were very easy to do business with. So I got to say good things about both landlords, but I don't have anything working right now at Stonefield to really know where they're at. I know they like to quote $50 and $60 a foot. So
because one is owned by a publicly traded company, Federal Realty, Barracks Road.
Right.
The other one, Stonefield, owned by a private equity firm.
Right, out of New York.
Out of New York, right? So 2 very different entities there, owning what you say is from a retail or food and beverage, top grossing potential. Are those the 2 in the city and the county?
Yeah, I would say that, depending on your niche of what you're trying to do, if I'm trying to open a hip small Japanese omakase place, and I want to get $100 a plate because this is my dream, I'm going to do that downtown. I might do that on Main Street. I might do that in Belmont. I'm probably not doing that at Stonefield. If I want to open a Duck Donuts, I'm not opening that downtown. Nobody's going there for that, right? They'll go to Stonefield because it's just a different demographic, I think. On the regular shopping, anyway.
Shannon O'Brien watching the program completely agrees. Stu could carry his own show. Love listening to his input. Shannon, one time a fantastic server at Junction, I believe now at the Nook. Shannon O'Brien working over there. If you have any comments, props you want to give to Stu, put them in the feed. How about Belmont's evolution?
Belmont's been a slow roll, but it's been terrific. There's still a lot of industrial buildings there that haven't been renovated, but it's not the people that travel to eat, the people that read all those Yelp reviews, they're going to make it. They're going to find Moss, and they're going to find Tavola, and they're going to find Bell, because who makes a better donut, bagel, or other baked good in this town?
The Shaughnessy brothers crush it with that donut.
Those guys are doing a great job.
Yeah.
And they got great training along the way, which is why they're owning a great business now with the help of Andy, who I'm sure does nothing but has helped them financially. So that's a great little business. So again, that's where I would open my boutique place for sure. But if I need to do $3 million, I need to do Chick-fil-A or Brazos Tacos dollars or, Roots. I need a higher volume. I need more foot traffic. And we don't get that much foot traffic downtown, right? We get what we get, and we get it when we get it. But if I need to do real high volume, then I need to be at a place where everybody goes. And everybody goes to Barracks Road because it's too easy to get to. And the same with Stonefield. And Costco. Right?
Spencer Mink is asking, what can make downtown a better draw then? And Jose Cabrera says hello.
I think we keep the place clean and we keep it policed so people, there's no harassment going on, and we keep doing what we're doing for the parking, which is agreeable. You get an hour free parking now. The parking's always been inexpensive. And so, accessibility is important. Fixing the sidewalks. I mean, you look at the sidewalks. I walk Market Street and Water Street. You probably do the same because less people to talk to. I can get where I'm going quicker. They're just in disrepair. Court Square looks better than Market, Water, and Main, and it shouldn't. That is so
true.
That's the rose in the bouquet, or whatever the best flower is, Jen. Sorry. That's what it is, and so. It's a level playing surface. The rents have come down. You're not, at Stonefield and Barracks Road, you're dealing with one landlord, as you said. The mall's full of landlords. There's 5 or 6 people that own a lot of property downtown. So you get different sales, but I don't think anybody likes to keep their place vacant, right? We don't have vacancies for very long downtown. We have them, I think, maybe Dave McNair on his website.
The Charlottesville DTM?
Yeah, he probably posted a series of, hey, here's what's empty. Well, take a look today. Not a lot of vacancies on the mall.
The vacancy rate usually downtown is under 1%.
Right. It's low. But we did have some, when the shoe store next to the Nook and her gallery went out, but, that's now back leased. So I think people still want to be downtown, and I think when the buildings are filled, that there won't be enough room for people to eat.
Laura Smithers Hawkins, welcome to the program. All right, let's talk hotcakes and let's talk bounce and play. First, hotcakes.
So I worked at Hotcakes in 1991. Yeah, I worked for Lisa.
In Barracks Road Shopping Center.
Well, I worked over there where it's now Pella Windows and Door Pros behind Stonefield.
Okay.
Lisa's original location after she was done baking from her house on 3rd Street. So I worked there before my summer in Maine in 91. Had a great time. It was just 4 of us. Gay Church that owns her, I don't know her last name now, Gay Berry, excuse me, who owns A Pimento Catering. She was working there. Lisa worked there, Edwin and I. And it was 4 of us making savory and sweets all morning. It was a great place. And then they moved to Barracks Road, and I helped them with the first renovation. Lisa didn't ever want seats or a dining room. She wanted to do her gourmet to go and her catering, which she was excellent at. And so it's time for them to retire. They made a great deal through COVID with Barracks Road, but in that deal, it said Barracks Road can move you, and should we need the space. So CVS has been leased. The people leasing CVS need the Hotcakes space, so Hotcakes had to move. So they've closed by the end of October. And for about the last 5 months, we've been trying to find a place to move them. We've got a location at 29th Place. We have a great location at Albemarle Square Shopping Center. And we have a location at Barracks Road. So we've got 3 places to put Hotcakes, but no operator. And Jerry, as you know, no matter what the business is, you got to have somebody driving the bus. And so I need an operator, or Keith and Lisa need an operator. And so they've closed their business. I'm sure they've handled their employees correctly. Everyone got a lot of notice, but the brand exists, and no one knows brands better than you. That brand is strong. It's been here over 30 years. Every recipe, whether it's Sloan's cheesecake or lemon bars or their crinkle cookies, that's all there. Lisa's willing to train, and most of the equipment's still intact. So I've been trying to find an operator for hotcakes.
So the business is for sale?
The business is for sale. But
Can I ask asking price?
$200,000.
$200K.
Today's Keith's birthday. I'm asking $195, but I went for $200 because it's his birthday.
$200K, the asking price for an institution, hotcakes. This is me saying this is not him saying it, so I'm not getting you in trouble. This is me saying it. The owners of the Panera franchise, a close friends of this program.
Right.
We love the Postel and Jackson family, and Panera is taking over the lease for CVS and hotcakes in Barracks Road.
No.
That's
what they told you?
Is that not the case?
That is not the case, to my knowledge.
Okay.
How are you going to have a 20,000 square foot Panera Bread?
Well,
we can talk about this
we'll
off
talk about
air.
this off air. I'm
Absolutely.
looking at it right here.
Yeah, I don't know those folks.
Yeah.
Did they have the
I
one?
do.
Did they have the one at Hollymead as well?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They have the whole area.
I can tell you that we had hotcakes for sale at the unbelievable price of $450,000 before they got there. Hey, you've got to go.
Got it.
We really felt like it could be in place. Like Lisa has been turned down catering for next year. I suggested she turn it down. You can't take a wedding and say, oh, by the way, Mark Hahn at Harvest Moon has to do it because I'm out of business. And so Lisa stopped taking revenue, which hurts the sale, but as long as it doesn't sit vacant for a year or two, it'll come right back.
But you could base the sale on previous year's transaction.
Well, that's why we've lowered the price.
It this way.
Yeah, we just cut the price in half when it had to move.
Yeah.
Because that made it, because someone's going to have an expense, right? You got to put in vinyl coving, you got to put FRP on the walls, you got to get new plumbing in. So.
Exactly. Sarah Walls Perkins in Greensboro, North Carolina, giving you some props. Multiple people saying the Stu Rifkin show would absolutely crush it on the program. How about Bounce and Play? Bounce, Play, and Create.
Bounce, Play, and Create. So it opened after my kids were too big to go there. I've since been in there a couple times with Steven. It's a wonderful, clean building and business.
The owners of the Happy Cook, the ownership team behind Bounce, Play, and Create.
Correct. They bought it from the original owner. I believe her father was a landlord, so they got a lot of breaks in getting it built. They have a wonderful lease now because of COVID. I'm sure at some point that lease will adjust. But they run a clean business with a lot of different income streams. They have the parties, they have the daily show up, they've got the food, they got
inflatables that come to you.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I did for my kids' birthdays all the time when Tom Sloniker from the Arby's had them. You order one of those, they put it in your yard for $300 or $400, and it's a party.
It's a party.
And it's so easy. And the kids, as you know, like yours will get a little bigger soon, they never want to stop. They want to run up and slide down, and the parents are getting dizzy just watching them. So they have that as well as what goes on inside. We're asking, again, just under $200,000, $195,000. They are ready to be done working this hard at business. And it's work. And it wasn't, when you buy things, sometimes it's great to have a passive income, but not all businesses work that way. And that's a business, again, need an operator. Family, couple, individual, but it's a clean business. There's no late nights. There's no alcohol. There's no trouble. There's no shrink. My food goes bad. Their bouncing stuff doesn't go bad. Their create stuff doesn't go bad. It's all clean and good place for a birthday party.
Two very good opportunities, hotcakes and Bounce, Play, and Create for someone to purchase a business, guys, that wants to get into the entrepreneurship game. G. Milo says Stu rocks. Multiple people have questions that I'm going to relay on air. Dude, I knew the interview was going to go extremely well. I didn't think it was going to go this well. I have a booster shot scheduled at the Pavilion at 1:30. He's a sports fan, so why don't we go rapid fire here, like you would see on a PTI or a Sports Center, okay? That way I can make my booster shot in 6.5 minutes. Bounce, Play, and Create. I see so much opportunity there, especially as we get back to this new sense of normalcy and we want kids to be around other kids and we want to get them out of the house and away from screens and getting that energy burnt, which we know is paramount for all parents' sanity. Okay? Bounce, play, and create. Who's the operator that buys a business like that? What type of person? What type of businessman or woman?
Ideally, if, husband and wife would be great, right? It's always great to have that support. Maybe he's got a daytime job, but he's handling all the numbers and she's the face. Maybe it's the other way around. Maybe she's a, pharmaceutical salesperson. He's just cycled out of the military. Whatever the reason is, it's somebody that likes kids, likes organized, because you got to be organized and neat and clean. And it's, who that person is, we'll find out, but it doesn't take much. Like when my kids were little, we went to Little Gym. Well, that was kind of organized and it was costly. It was not inexpensive. And I'm sure Little Gym's doing great and they're at Stonefield now. This is a little less structured, but still has structure. And at 90 minutes, like we were talking earlier about the Boar's Head and how their benefits are, you can go there and sit and read your book or do your emails while your kids are just going crazy for 90 minutes because it's got to start and finish. So they've done a very good job of making it neat and clean and organized and easy to operate. It just takes effort.
Okay, let's go fast pace here. The future of the UVA corner here. Is the future of the UVA corner with rents so high, corporate big brands, or will we still have local flavor on the UVA corner moving forward?
We'll still have local flavor as long as they're selling booze to people that may or may not be 21. We'll have tons of it.
Roughly three people own the UVA corner there. Does that concern you? Was it Tip Top Terry, it's Hunter, and I always forget the lady that owns a good chunk of the corner as well.
I just think of Terry and Hunter for the most part and the Mincers, but they own their two buildings. So,
does it concern you that three people own so much of that district?
No, because they want at least. You know what I mean? I do know, I can tell you Terry wanted this college inn to stay. And if I had cared enough to sell it and go through that aggravation, I would have come on your show and we would have found a buyer and there wouldn't be Chipotle there. But no one else in his family that operated that business wanted anything to do with it. It's hard. It is a hard business to operate. And so, yeah, we'll always have bars and they'll always be privately owned because I don't see the chains coming and doing very well. But Sheets failed. What's going into Sheets? So, it doesn't mean it's always a win. I think CVS is probably helpful. It's just not helpful to the two guys on either end of the corner that run similar businesses.
Ashton Porter watching the program in Palmyra, Virginia. Stu knows his stuff. 14 states and 4 countries on the show right here. Stu Rifkin, I'm going to throw this to you. When Tip Top Terry was running Tip Top, was there any locally owned business that was more of a Mint printer than Tip Top?
I think it still is. Terry's kids running there, Jeff Hale, the Tip Top sales have not dimmed at all. You come in that way, I'm sure, every once in a while.
I do.
The demographics getting older, but just like when we saved the Nook, there aren't enough places in town I can get a cheeseburger and a club sandwich and some ranch dressing on my salad. In the case of the Tip Top, baked spaghetti that doesn't cost an arm and a leg. Most of the time when I eat out in this town, I'm amazed by the prices. But sometimes, Tip Top would be 1, the Mill Room would be 2, Vivace would be 3, the Taste Shack would be 4. Sometimes the prices are just too cheap. And I think, have these people gone out? Have they seen what the prices are and what the cost of labor is and what the cost of raw ingredients are? So we still got a lot of good values in this town. Shout out to Bodo's, of course.
I love it. Stu Rifkin, the future of High Street. What can be done in a critically important corridor that's underperforming right now, High Street?
High Street, were there office buildings?
Don't you see?
Oh, you're talking down High Street.
Yeah, down High Street. It could be so special.
Yeah, I've tried to get into a couple of buildings on High Street. I think that's probably the next step. Once everything at the top where Martha Jefferson and Octagon Partners are done with all of that development, I think you'll start seeing you got the old dry cleaner that's sold, it's sitting vacant. You've got a lot of industrial buildings down there. The prettiest building down there is literally a storage building for Ferguson. It's a store. I think that's the company. It's a storage building. And it's a beautiful old barn-looking building that I wanted to lease for my food service plans. And so I think eventually that comes around. But we don't have enough industrial property, so these people got to go somewhere. It's either Franklin Broadway or High Street, really.
What do you see for Fifeville and Cherry Avenue? Underperforming corridor.
Well, it's, a full grocery store coming back, right? That IGA's hurt all those people being gone.
Kim's Market.
Yep. Yeah, there needs to be more development on Cherry Avenue, but you have hotels now, right? You have transient population there, but just like everything else, it takes time. I I had a little building there for a little while. The same woman, I think, still owns that shopping
She
center
does.
on Cherry Avenue.
Divorcee. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'll throw this to you. Well, the divorcee owns the Kim's Market IGA property.
Right,
That's
but a
currently
different
being
woman
leased.
owns the Cherry Avenue shopping center.
Understood.
Yeah.
The Kim's Market currently being leased to a subcontractor that's servicing UVA that has their headquarters in the Shenandoah Valley. So much coming in here for Stu Rifkin right here. You're a popular
We'll have to
guy.
do this again.
Would you be up for doing this again?
Yeah, we've talked about this for a lot of
This is
years
fun.
now. I'm having a good time. Is it 1 o'clock yet?
It's 1:30.
Okay.
I got to sprint to my wife is saying you have your booster shot in 3 minutes.
I'm showing
gonna
property on
sprint.
East Jefferson at 1:30.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Shit, we got to finish right now. Okay, Stu Rifkin is the man.
Thank you.
Thank you
Appreciate it.
for joining us. Seriously, can we do this again?
Yeah, I think we should.
Okay, we will do this again.
Thank you.
And I'm going to get to all the comments that we're not getting to. I'm going to sprint to my booster shot. Stu Rifkin's got bounce and play and hotcakes that you guys need to buy if you're looking to get into the game here of business ownership.
Or your clients.
Judah Wickower is our director, keeps us on track. Cut the mics in T minus 3, 2, 1. It's the I Love CVille Show. Take care, guys. Stu. Dude.
That was good? Okay.
Fun?